as they say in
trying to find it. I'm trying to find
Seriously,
one thing. Man, and you're a brilliant man. Play devil's advocate if you don't believe it. Just give me one thing we're better off as a country right now on June 16th versus February 20th. Just give me one thing, and I'll let you go take your shot. I'm searching for it, Steve.
The Knicks won the NBA championship. The U.S. Opens at Shinnecock. I can keep going. Don't talk to me financially. Hold it. Elon Musk is now worth, his personal net worth is now worth more than the whole of Bitcoin because of the short squeeze over it. I can keep going if you want.
It's up to almost 1.3 trillion now.
No, hold it. How do you like the 300 billion instead of going to the Persians?
Love that.
How about this? Let's just say we're going to set that reconstruction fund, and it's going to go to the United States to compensate us. If Pete needs 350 right away, I can vouch for 300 billion. It's Qatar, UAE, and the Saudis. Okay,
you found it. You found 300 billion.
I found it. We found 300 billion.
We need Bannon in the White House. You got to be walking in. Mr. President, I found 300 billion.
Pete, why are you wandering around? Why are you wandering around talking to Cornyn, who just got turfed out? Right. Here's what you do: get on the plane and go back over to Qatar, right? Go to Doha, go to our base there, have a meeting with the guy and say, hey, look, we rethought this. 300 billion is going to come to us to compensate us, and maybe a little cash bonus for the sailors and airmen and soldiers and Marines that were over there. A little, like I said, a little something for the effort.
Bannon, 2028. I'm on board.
Stop. We got War Room. War Room's on the roll. War Room's bigger. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you bowling. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, sir. Okay, major conference in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about it. It's about finding fraud at the CIA, in business, all of it. But most importantly, voter fraud. Right now, this is the vanguard of the folks that are going to save us in this election cycle. And trust me, the progressive left knows it. We're going to go there live after we have a short cold open. Let's let it rip.
So imagine this scenario. Election day is approaching. The White House is fear-mongering about supposed election fraud, right? This is not hard to imagine. White House is fear-mongering about election fraud. But then they decide they're going to encourage vigilantes to take action to stop this supposed fraud. So Trump supporters decide that they're going to do citizen patrols of polling places because the Trump White House has been messaging that they should do that. And Trump supporters start showing up to do these patrols with guns. So now we're getting reports of armed vigilantes at polling places and obviously protests against them and probably confrontations with them. In response to those reports, Trump announces that he must keep the peace. He must send armed federal agents to polling places to protect the election. That's one scenario. What would we do in that scenario? Here's another scenario. Some foreign country, say Iran or Russia or China, whoever, some foreign country decides to unleash a wave of AI-generated deep fake videos of candidates and other people in American politics. And these are fake videos, but they're good. They're good quality, and people don't always recognize that they are fake. These fakes are designed to hurt Democratic candidates and Trump critics. They're designed to confuse voters and muddy the waters in terms of what's going on in the election. When news organizations start reporting on the deepfakes, the Trump administration goes ballistic and starts threatening all news organizations that report on the deepfakes. They start telling news organizations that they have to censor any coverage of this foreign influence operation as a matter of national security. That's a second scenario. What would we do then? Here's a third scenario. Voting's over. But before the states can certify the results of the vote, Trump's Justice Department sends FBI agents out to go seize the ballots, supposedly to investigate irregularities in election administration. They seize the ballots before the results are final. That's the third scenario. What would we do then? What are the options, really practically speaking, what are the options for protecting our elections from our own federal government? That was the question at the center of a wargaming session that was held just a few days ago by 10 Democratic U.S. senators, including the Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, plus several election experts. Those three scenarios I just described, they gamed those out, those three very specific and not at all unimaginable scenarios. Politico reported that in these tabletop drills, quote, they game planned legal injunctions to bar armed federal agents or armed citizens from voting sites and lawsuits to force the Trump administration to return ballots if they're confiscated in key contests that could decide control of Congress. They also choreographed communication strategies across elected leaders and campaigns and advocacy groups to combat misinformation and disinformation designed to sow distrust in the results.
I think, number one, they need to be prepared to vote, right? They need to understand that the rules may have changed. The registration may be being challenged. We're seeing Donald Trump do that. And so everyone needs to understand the rules, and they need to have a plan to vote. Even if they voted before, they need to make out a plan about how they're going to vote this time and make sure they are prepared. Number two is they need to be educated. I mean, I'm thrilled, Rachel, that you are doing this episode tonight with your enormous audience and people paying attention, because it is educating people about the threats that are coming so that they won't be quite as scary. They won't seem quite as out of the blue. So people need to get educated and to share that information with others. I started Democracy Docket actually to be a resource that people could share information from. But there are lots of good sources of information to share. And then finally, if we get down to the place where Republicans or Donald Trump are trying to interfere in the election, then we're going to need people to mobilize. We're going to need them to mobilize peacefully. We're going to need them to mobilize within the law. But we're going to need the public to be prepared to be active in protesting any efforts by the Republicans to overturn the will of the voters. Look, the lawyers are going to do a lot of heavy lifting here. The political professionals will do a lot of heavy lifting here. But it is ultimately on the people of the United States to really do their job. And if that happens, I think we'll be fine.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Tuesday, 16 June, year of our Lord 2026. We're going to go to the White House. We got Neil. We're going to go for updates of what's happening over the G7. There's been a lot going on today. And it looks like they've released or leaked to Axios 12 of the 14 points of this Memorandum of Understanding that's supposedly going to get us to a larger deal. We'll talk about that. Maybe if we don't get into time for this, we'll do it tomorrow morning, get experts. I want to start in Vegas, where a very important conference going on about fraud. They're talking about fraud, the CIA, corporate America, but specifically tomorrow all day, and Tina Peters will be there talking about voter fraud. It's not a random event that Rachel Maddow, that only does her show. She's the biggest voice on MSNBC. She's the leader of that platform. She only does a show once a week now. I think for $20 million. Monday. The whole show was about basically the defense and the integrity of this midterm election, where she's already accusing President Trump of having an army of vigilantes that are prepared to basically go in and disrupt this election. We all understand that if the Democrats can't steal it, they can't win. They know that. Just look at Los Angeles. The great state of Nevada, Jim Marchant. You remember Jim from years and years and years, and now he is the nominee to be Secretary of State for the state of Nevada. Jim, is Jim there? Can we get Jim up? Okay, there we are, Jim. Okay, we're going to do this. Thank you. Thank you, Denver. Yeah, we got it. So, Jim, talk to me. Rachel Maddow says there's a group of vigilantes. President Trump is fear-mongering. They got Mark Elias, a guy you know very well. I mean, these people have been attacking you. I've known you, Jim, I think now for 8-9 years. You've been under attack by these people from the beginning. Walk us through, where do you think we stand with security this midterm election? I know you're running for Secretary of State in Nevada. Overall, where do you think we stand, and what is the conference out there going to tee people up for, sir?
Well, I hope that, for the past 9 months, we've been feeding Tulsi Gabbard information about the election system, all over the country. And hopefully she's got it to President Trump, and I think she has, and that we will do something to secure the election for the midterms. And that's what I'm counting on, because if we don't win. And if we have the same election system that has been in place for years and years, then MAGA candidates like me don't win. Uniparty candidates win. But hopefully that's going to happen. And I have a good confidence in President Trump that he's going to try to do something, certainly within the law, of course, and enable candidates like myself to be elected. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, as you hear Rachel Maddow, the same old garbage they've been spewing for years. Chuck Schumer, same thing. And they're not going down without a fight. And we just have to be prepared to counter what they're going to do to us. So I'm looking forward to the fight again. I was in it in 22, and we're going to finish it up this time.
Jim, the one difference that they're quoting a political article, and I will talk about this tonight when I talk to you folks. They war gamed it. I mean, this is senators taking time and getting together with very sophisticated people on the election side. They war gamed it. Rachel Maddow and Politico wanted their side to know that they're war gaming various scenarios right now, and that you're a group of dangerous vigilantes. Doesn't that concern you that you've got guys in the U.S. Senate right now that are trying to war game out these midterm elections? I keep telling people that it's going to come down to a handful of patriots that are prepared to step in the breach. And I think we got to get ICE. I've been a big advocate of getting ICE to the polls also. But This is why the coalition is so important. This is why this conference is so important. It's going to come down to a cadre of people that are prepared to sit there and go, hey, I'm putting it all on the line, but I'm not prepared to have this election stolen. This U.S. Senate under Chuck Schumer, the Democrats are wargaming various alternatives to thwart the MAGA movement, sir.
That's exactly right. And we knew they would. And so we've got to be smarter than they are. And that's what we've been working on since, I know that I sued after I lost the Congress race in 2020 to start exposing the election fraud. And all of that evidence that we've gathered since then, we've turned over. And I hope they're using it, and I think they are. And like I said, we've just got to be smarter than they are. And if we are, then we're going to prevail in November and hold the House and Senate for the Republicans, and finally, once and for all, fix our country, I believe.
I've seen the unions out there. They've waited until votes come in, and they extended the mail-in ballots. Has anything structurally, we got about a minute here, I'm going to hold you through the break. Has anything structurally changed in Nevada at all that you can hang your hat on, that you can tell people, hey, I think we've made some fundamental changes here, so they're not going to be able to steal it in broad daylight like they're stealing it from Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles?
Very little. And I don't think they're going to show their hand during the primary too much, but during the general, they're going to do the same thing they did last time. When I ran in 22, I was ahead 20,000 votes, end of election night, the next morning. And for the next 8 days, they were able to manufacture enough ballots that I lost by 2 points. So we have to stop that. And that's why we have implored on President Trump, help us do something, get rid of the mail-in ballots. And of course, we've got Senator John Thune, I believe, blocking the SAVE Act. I think that would help if we could just get single-day voting and get rid of the mail-in ballots. And my preference, and once I get in to be Secretary of State, I'm going to get rid of the Dominion voting machines. We're going to do hand voting. We're going to do voting on a precinct level basis. We're going to do hand counting on a precinct level basis. And we're going to clean up the voter rolls once and for all. And we're going to let everybody prove that they're a citizen. And if we do that, then we can, then I believe the proper people, representatives will be elected that the people want. And that's my goal.
Jim, hang on. We're going to hold you through the break. Everybody, take your number 2 pencil out. Jim was up on election night in the morning after by 20,000 votes. 20,000 votes, and they stole it. Short break. Back in a moment.
How are you going to celebrate America's 250th birthday? Well, we
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
Florida Sun Goddess here. Let me tell you why I love RAV. They let my voice be heard. They give me a platform for community so I don't feel alone. Thanks so much. God bless.
Hi, this is Chris from Wisconsin, and I love Real America's Voice because they have great news and a great chat family. God bless all of you.
So Jim Marchant is now the Republican nominee for Secretary of State in Nevada. Jim, how important is the Save America Act? Because right now, President Trump's trying to attach it to FISA, to this, to that, to the new reconciliation, and Thune can't be bothered. What would you tell John Thune about what's in that act about IDs, mail-in ballots, et cetera? How important is it?
It's extremely important, and I can't for the life of me figure out why any Republican in the House or Senate would not unanimously vote for the SAVE Act. I mean, we need voter ID. We need to get rid of the mail-in ballots in order to have a chance of candidates like myself winning in November. So it's critically important, and I can't understand why they are holding this up. You know, I kind of have ideas on my own. Maybe they're not really Republicans, you know, so I can't understand why they won't pass it, but it's absolutely critical that we get this passed. And I'm praying for President Trump and for him to prevail on this, and we got to do it. It's just no choice. We have to do it.
What you're one of the most egregious cases of someone getting it stolen in broad daylight, right? The last time when we were up by 20,000, and they just wait As soon as they get over the number, election's over, we got it right. It's so brazen in Nevada.
Yeah.
Why did you take him? They know it. Why did you go to Tulsi Gabbard? Why not DHS, FBI, DOJ? Why did you go to the director of national intelligence?
Yeah, she's the only one we had contact with in an agency like that we could go to with the evidence. And we kind of like her. I mean, we think she's kind of thinks the way we do and wants to fix the election system. And I don't mean, when I say fix, I don't mean fix it in one way or another, just level the playing field, because that's all we want. We just want a level playing field so that whoever the people vote for actually get in office. So we just want to show the evidence. We've seen the evidence. I know you've seen the evidence. And we just wanted to get it to her and hopefully have her influence President Trump, which I believe we have, and then to the point where he has proposed the SAVE Act and items in it and he understands how critical it is for voter ID and cleaning up the voter rolls. Those are the two most important things.
Particularly in a place like Nevada, it's outrageous. I don't want to give up any inside baseball, but do you believe that Tulsi and people around her, that that action is this is grinding through the system and action is being taken?
I think it is. And I was really disappointed to see her have to resign, but I really like her. And I think it is. I think we made some progress. We actually turned some people inside that were like a lot of the uniparty saying there was no election problems and election system's fine, just let it work. There may be a few things, but we don't need to worry about it. So I think we turned some people.
Jim, where do people go for your campaign site, social media, all of it, sir?
Yeah, JimMarchant.com and Facebook, Jim Marchant. You just Google my name and I think it'll all come up. I think it's all on my website, JimMarchant.com, JimMarchant.com. So, come join me with the fight. I need all the help I can get, and I'm a fighter, always have been, and we're gonna go to the finish line.
Run through the tape, Jim Marchant. You were a fighter, and would make an amazing Secretary of State for Nevada. Good luck, sir.
Great, thank you, Steve.
Now I think I got it. I'll play it later. You got Mark Warner. You got Nicole Wallace. They're in full. You got Katie Tur. They're in full. I've never seen meltdown like this. They have to get Jay Clayton in as DNI next week. I think I know why. Look what he just said about Tulsi Gabbard. I think I know why. Why are they moving heaven and earth? Just Jay Clayton to fill out when he was the chairman of the executive committee of Sullivan and Cromwell, John Foster Dulles' old law firm, basically the outside counsel for Goldman Sachs, just to fill out, if you met foreigners in the last 10 or 15 years, would take you a month. It would take somebody 2 or 3 months to go through it. That's part of the confirmation process. Why are they rushing it through for next Wednesday? Why are they going to have the vote on Thursday? Why do they have to have this consent? Not one Senator Tommy Tuberville, somebody can't say, whoa, let's just slow down this train. Why are they jamming it in there? I will tell you why. They do not want Bill Pulte to step foot into DNI next week. Why is that? I don't know. Fulton County, Georgia, what happened in Maricopa County, the Tulsi know. Now we know Nevada. Now you know. Jay Clayton's a good man, but didn't break any glass at SDNY. None, zero. He's a systems player. And they're trying to get somebody. When all those Democrats, when Mark Warner is sitting there going, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. What does that tell you? By definition, I don't want to do it. Slow it down. Ian Trache has been a guy looking at the investigation of how corrupt the CIA and former leaders are. Ian, do you feel comfortable that we're jamming in the head of the CIA's pick to be DNI? I want to get an objective observation from you, sir. Do you feel comfortable with that, given your intense investigation of the CIA and certain leadership members of it?
Yeah, I mean, Steve, this is clearly a power stroke from the powers that be in the CIA. They are covering up what I'm exposing. The CIA is completely gone. It's corrupt. It's part of the global regime, Steve, and we know this in part from a former asset of, and possibly current, I asked him, but Patrick Byrne, who says this, that John Brennan, the subject matter of my book, John Brennan is still in control at the CIA. He still owns the top two layers, Steve, according to Patrick Byrne, who was recruited by David S. Cohen in 2006 to join and be an asset to the CIA. This is Patrick Byrne, the former Overstock CEO and co-founder of Overstock. What I am exposing in High Stakes Treason is the most explosive political book of our country's existence, Steve. So no, I do not feel comfortable at all with any of the moves, and I don't trust any of the
Hang on, I just want to make sure what Patrick and you were saying is that there's all Brennan acolytes in these key positions, right? The CIA has thousands of people. These are all people that have been working with Brennan, part of his team, people he's groomed, people he's molded, people he's put in leadership positions. So that, Larry, you've got a political appointee at the top, but it's irrelevant. Right, you've got the whole system is a Brennan system. Is that basically your theory of the case?
Steve, John Brennan created, as a result of executive orders of George Bush, he created the National Counterterrorism Center, a product of the Terrorist Threat Interrogation Center. This is John Brennan's brainchild. It's where he created his manipulation, his monopoly, the CT Intel monopoly, which I detail in High Stakes Treason. So yes, even he himself, John Brennan, just weeks ago on MSNBC, Steve, he referred to a legion, quote, a legion of political intelligence professionals in D.C. that are actively working against the Donald Trump administration. This is a paraphrase of exactly what John Brennan said on MSNBC weeks ago. So I refer to them, Steve, as gatekeepers.
Ian, we started, I don't know if we saw the cold open. I'm going to play it again tonight before I give my remarks. But Rachel Maddow took the entire hour of her show, which is the most powerful thing in progressive media, to go through the vigilantes like out in Vegas, these heroes and patriots, and how they're trying to stop the election. But she leaked out the Politico story where the Senate, and I'm sure in conjunction with CIA or former CIA, are wargaming. They're wargaming various alternatives of how to thwart exactly what you patriots in Las Vegas are trying to do to make sure we have free and fair elections. How does that set with you?
Well, look, it drives me to work harder. I was in D.C. just weeks ago. Steve, I had somebody sponsor me to go there. I was able to exchange words with Ron Johnson briefly. He was familiar with the book. He's introduced me to a member of his office to work on this. Rick Scott was with Ron when I approached them and spoke with them outside the Capitol about high stakes treason. Chuck Grassley is another office that has expressed interest. There are various offices on the Hill that I've engaged to listen to the information in the book. In fact, just moments ago, I had a conversation with Peter Tickton. And I asked Peter, frankly, what he thought of Jason Quinones in South Florida. This is information that I am trying to get to Jason Quinones ASAP, and we can do some damage here in regards to these subpoenas that came out of the Pam Bondi DOJ as a request from Jim Jordan. So that is my focus at the moment, is getting Quinones to look at this information regarding as a compilation to the perjury charges that came out of Jim Jordan's court regarding that 2023 testimony. Steve, something I haven't mentioned before to your program is something called Hamilton 68 Dashboard, and that's critical. He's an investigative journalist. Jared Siegel gave a testimony to Congress that same year, 2023, when John Brennan allegedly lied to Congress, and he mentioned the Hamilton 68 Dashboard. This is the high-tech conglomerate that was organized to attack Donald Trump and smear him and create this fictitious Russian collusion hoax. That's referred to as something called the Hamilton 68 Dashboard, something your viewers should be looking at right now. It's a 40-plus page testimonial given by Jared Siegel that details this high-tech attack on our president in 2016, which John Brennan orchestrated regarding the Russian collusion hoax. So do I feel comfortable? No, absolutely not, Steve. Does it drive me harder and to work faster? Absolutely.
I want you to stay through the break. I want to make sure everybody gets the coordinates of how to get the book and all your research. The one thing that strikes me real quickly, Brennan is not chilled, but he's like in your grill. He's doing TV all the time. I mean, Brennan thinks he's winning and he's going to win this, that nothing's going to happen, and his guys are going to stay in control of the CIA. If you look at his demeanor when he comes on TV, he's still very aggressive. He doesn't look like anybody's concerned about anything or cowed by anything. High-stakes treason. Ian Trottier. We're going to take a short break. We're going to go back to Vegas in just a moment.
Attention homeowners, does your roof look like this? If so, your whole home is at risk for costly damage.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Hi, I'm Bridgie. And why do I love Rav? Well, even out here in the cornfields of Iowa, I still need news I can depend on. That is Real America's Voice.
This is Tim King, also known as U.S Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
Okay, Ian Trottier is gonna stick with us. I'm gonna get back to him in a moment. I'd just like to add, in the engine room in New York reminds me that Sullivan and Cromwell is basically the law firm, or basically is the CIA. John Foster Dulles, pre-World War II, the reason he was one of the instrumental members of setting up OSS and was so close to Wild Bill Donovan, who also was a Wall Street lawyer, is because they were over in Europe doing all kind of deals and knew the power players over there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sullivan & Cromwell's the law firm for Goldman Sachs and a tremendous law firm, but they're inextricably linked with the American intelligence community. And I think that might maybe we take a week or two and just check everything. We support Jay Clayton over DNI, but I think it would give Brother Bill Pulte, I don't know, give Pulte a couple of weeks, let him just rummage around and see what's going on. Check it out. He's got the president's confidence. That's what you need. He's done a terrific job over at the Housing Bureau. And remember, he came up with Big Tish James and all this. I think we give him And it has a logical conclusion. Anytime Mark Warner and these Democrats are trying to jam something down your throat and got to get all kind of waivers and all kind of consents, and we're not going to do any due diligence, something stinks to high heaven. They're trying to jam it down and hold up FISA, and they want the warrantless FISA. Screw them. Screw them. It's time. You always talk about the rules. You got to play by the rules. Let's play by the rules. Let's just do a normal confirmation. Let's get all the paperwork. I think one of the things you got to do is list every meeting with a foreigner you've had for the last 10 years. Back when he was head of Sullivan and Cromwell's management committee. One of the most powerful, if not the most powerful law firm in the nation. Let's just do it and play by the rules. And if the confirmation takes, and you got to go past the recess, or which they're always going to take, it's not the end of the world. Bill Pulte is a safe pair of hands. Their fear of Bill Pulte, and this comes off the United States Senate. You just had Maddow and Politico tell you, they're telling you they're wargaming the midterm elections. This is the Senate reported in Politico and amplified by Rachel Maddow. They're wargaming the midterm elections. These are senators, and they got consultants and advisors, and they're all these deep state characters. So here we go again. Trinus Evans joins us from Las Vegas. Trinus, we have a very special guest. I'm going to turn it over to you for the interview. But, brother, every time we see you, you're fighting for people, the little guy, whether it's in North Carolina or Tennessee or Tina Peters. You're just a fearless warrior.
We're live.
So glad to have you on here. Who is our guest? And go ahead and take the interview.
Not on the steps. Well, thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, fighting for the country, fighting for the freedom fighters and the people that are really doing the work in this country and the people that are exposing the truth. So we have here our guest today. We have former Prime Minister of South Korea, Hwang Kyo-ahn. Okay. And he's here to share a little bit with us about what's happening in South Korea. So I will ask here, and he has a translator here, Jennifer. So, Mr. Ahn, I want to ask, you're witnessing in your country much of what we experienced in the United States when 2020 happened, or we became aware of. Because you're witnessing that and you have seen that, where do you take this? Where does this headed in your country, and what do you ask of us here in the United States?
미국에서 2020년도에 일어났던 일련의 사건들을 한국에서도 지금 보고 있는데요. 그래서 한국에서 어떤 방향으로 나아가야 될지, 또 미국으로부터 어떤 부탁을 요청하고 싶은지 알고 싶습니다.
한국은 자유민주주의 국가를 공고히 세우는 일로 나아가야만 합니다. 그리고 이를 위해서 미국에서 직접적인 그런 개입, 도입이 역할이 필요하다. 이런 생각을 합니다.
Korea has to go to the direction of erecting a free democracy.
직접적 개입, 결정적 개입.
And we would like U.S. to have a direct and decisive intervention into South Korea.
So you're a long-standing ally. South Korea has been a United States ally. We have been on the same quest for freedom around the world, as we see many countries. And you've witnessed now stolen elections there, and there's a lot of questions. And we see even the youth of South Korea is out in the streets. I see hundreds of thousands of your people in the street now. What do you say to those that say that this is everybody's progressive in the youth movement, when we're seeing absolutely a turn similar to like Charlie Kirk?
동맹국으로서 함께 자유를 위해서 싸우고 또 부정선거에 대해서 싸우고 있는데요. 지금 한국에서는 청년들이 수십만 명 나와서 시위를 하고 있는데 지금 찰리 커크로 대변하는 청년들에게 얘기할 수 있는 점들이 무엇이 있을까요?
이제는 청년들이 나라의 주인이 되어야 될 때가 되었습니다. 그리고 지금 대한민국에서도 정말 청년들이 주인이 되는 이런 행동들을 보이고 있습니다. 지금 이제 부정선거 관련해서 최근에 이제 올림픽 공원 거기서 이제 그 경기장에서 많은 청년들이 모여서 싸우고 있는데 지금은 이제 기성세대와 함께 정말 많은 사람들이 모이죠. 10만 넘는 사람들이 매일 모이고 있습니다. 근데 그 촉발점이 된 것이 바로 청년들입니다. 찰리 커크 영향도 있고 젊은이들이 이제 깨어났습니다. 특히 부정선거에 대해서 분노하고 있습니다. 지금 내 표를 잃어버렸다. 참정권이 침해당했다. 여기에서 청년들이 일어나고 있습니다. 이것은 굉장한 큰 변화라고 생각합니다.
Now it's time for the young people to arise and take ownership. And in South Korea, the young people are taking actions and taking ownership. They are fighting against election fraud because they're enraged, and hundreds and thousands have gathered in Olympic Park to protest and demonstrate. Charlie Kirk has been a factor in which they were motivated, and also the older generation have joined in the fight. It is a time for young people to take back democracy, and so that they could win this war to protect their rights to vote.
So you've seen this. We've discussed what's happening here. I want to know, you're looking for a very decisive and direct intervention from the United States. And we know that that means President Trump. He has been a world leader fighting for freedom, fighting for free elections. Do you see the same problem in South Korean elections that we're having here? Is it really just a mirror image?
미국으로부터 적극적 또 그 직접적 개입을 말씀하셨는데요. 아마 트럼프 대통령에게 그런 개입을 촉구하는 것이라고 생각을 합니다. 우리 모두 자유를 위해 또 공정한 선거를 위해 함께 싸우고 있는데 한국도 미국과 동일한 문제점을 안고 있다라고 생각하십니까?
전적으로 동일한 문제가 있고 한국에는 더 어려운 상황들이 있습니다. 다른 나라와는 달리 미국과도 달리 대한민국은 바로 이제 공산국가와 대면해서 싸우고 있습니다. 만약에 여기서 실패하면 우리 공산국가가 되는 것입니다. 미국은 그렇진 않지 않습니까? 그래서 우리는 정말 절박하게 싸우고 있는데 제가 뭐 중심이 돼서 할 일을 다 하고 있습니다. 목숨 걸고 싸우고 있습니다. 그리고 많은 국민들이 또 힘을 보태어주고 있습니다. 그런데 조금 모자라요. 꽤 많이 모자랍니다. 이 반민주 세력과 싸우려고 하면, 특히 이제 이재명을 중심으로 한 이 세력으로 싸우려고 하면 조금 힘이 더 필요합니다. 어떻게 보면 더 많이 더 필요한데 거기에 미국의 역할이 필요하고 트럼프 대통령의 역할이 꼭 필요하다 하는 생각을 말씀드립니다.
They're completely the same, but also more serious, because unlike the United States, we have the communist factor, because we have communist states as our neighbors. The United States do not have a communist state as a neighbor, so we face a much more serious problem, because if we fail, we're going to be in the clutches of communization. So we are desperate, and we're fighting with our lives. There are many people who are fighting together with us, but we need more strength. That's why we need President Trump to intervene, as we have to fight against anti-democratic forces, including the current Lee Jae-myung regime.
But Trennis, hang on for 1 second. Can you ask him directly? Was the Chinese Communist Party involved directly? Was the Chinese Communist Party directly involved in the stealing of the last presidential election in South Korea, sir?
Sir, what is the Chinese Communist Party involvement, if any? Are they involved in the stealing of the elections in South Korea?
중국의 CCP가 한국에 어떻게 관여를 하고 있는지, 한국의 부정선거에 관여하고 있는지 궁금합니다.
직접 관여하고 있습니다. 웹, 무슨 웹이야?
A웹.
A웹을 통해서 한국에 직접 개입하고 있고, A웹을 통해서 세계도 부정선거를 퍼뜨리고 있습니다. 저는 이제 북한이 일을 하고 있는 걸로 생각했는데, 북한 뒤에 CCP가 있었고 중국이 있었고, 이것이 대한민국의 지금 오늘 선거 정의를 다 깨뜨리고 있습니다. 우리는 분노하고 싸우고 있습니다.
The Chinese CCP are directly involved. They are involved through an organization called AWEB, which exports election fraud not only in Korea but all around the world. We've previously thought was only North Korea, but the Chinese CCP is behind all their actions. So because of CCP, we're not able to have electoral justice. That's why we are enraged and fighting.
나는 국무총리 시절에 중국과의 싸움을 위해서 사드 배치를 했던 그런 사람입니다. 그래서 중국에서는 저를 굉장히 미워합니다. 그러나 자유대한민국 그리고 이를 통해서 미국을 지키기 위해서는 부득이했던 일이기 때문에 저는 큰 소리로 그걸 외쳐서 사드 배치를 이제 마무리를 했었습니다. 이 큰 일들이 미국과 한국의 협력을 통해서 중국과 북한을 극복하는 그런 계기가 되기를 바랍니다.
When I was the prime minister, I deployed that so that we could thwart Chinese forces. That's why the Chinese CCP disliked me very much. Through that, the United States and Korea are able to cooperate and collaborate in our security.
Trennis, can you
so
ask...
Steve, you're hearing it there. They're saying the CCP is directly involved.
Yeah. Can you ask it's pretty direct. Can you ask the Prime Minister, Trennis, when he says direct intervention by the United States and he wants President Trump getting engaged, specifically what does he mean by that? When he says he wants President Trump of the United States to directly intervene in this election stealing in South Korea, what is he requesting?
Sir, when you ask that the United States directly intervene, you're asking of President Trump to directly intervene in the matter as it's unfolding in South Korea. What do you mean specifically by intervene?
미국의 직접적 또 결정적 개입을 얘기하셨을 때 트럼프 대통령님이 직접적으로 개입하시는 것을 의미하신 것 같은데 지금 현재 한국에서 전개되는 상황 가운데 어떤 구체적인 개입을 말씀하시는 건가요?
부정선거가 아주 광범위하게 폭넓게 진행이 되고 있습니다. 2020년, 2024년도에 결정적인 모습들을 보여주었었는데 이번에 이제 지방선거에서는 과거와 달리 사전 투표를 통한 부정선거 외에도 직접적으로 당일 투표에 대한 부정선거가 개입이 됐고 이것이 국민들에게 적발이 됐습니다.
There has been massive and pervasive election fraud which took place from 2020, 2024, and 2025. In this year's local by-election on June 3rd, they started to also rig the election day votes. Previously, they focused their election fraud manipulation on early day votes that take place for 2 days prior to the election day. However, this time they have started to rig and manipulate the election day votes, and because of this, a lot of people became aware of the election fraud.
유권자의 반, 60%, 80% 이렇게 많은 유권자가 투표할 수 없게 되어버렸습니다. 그래서 투표할 수 없게 된 여러 사람들이 특히 청년들 중심으로 해서 내 참정권을 찾아야 되겠다라고 해서 전쟁이 시작되고 있습니다.
A lot of the voters could not vote at all because there was a shortage of ballots in many polling stations nationwide in Korea. So the people, especially the young, became enraged and they're fighting for their vote, fighting their right to vote. That is why they have entered this war.
이 정권은 전에 하듯이 힘으로, 강압으로 국민들의 목소리를 억누르려고 하고 있습니다. 우리들이 막아내고 있습니다. 그러나 아직 부족한 측면에서 미국의 지원이 이 부분에 관해서도 꼭 필요하다 이런 생각을 합니다.
The current administration is trying to oppress the voice of the people by force, and we are trying to protect and express the voices of the people. In this aspect, we would like the U.S. to support us.
So, Steve, one of the things that I'm hearing, and I've been listening, and the former Prime Minister and I have been speaking today, that we are seeing so many of the same blueprint opportunities or moments like what we saw with Arizona in 2024 and 2022 and others, and what in 2020. There's so many uncanny similarities. It's almost like they picked up the model that was used in the United States in 2020 and carried it straight over across the globe and implanted it in South Korea. I mean, it's the same thing. We've been discussing that. Dr. Frank and I've been discussing it. I've been discussing here with former Prime Minister on. This is scary, what I'm seeing and what I'm listening to. So I got a question on that. Do you see the same model and what we witnessed in United States elections 2020, 2022 as what's unfolded now in your country in South Korea?
미국의 부정선거과 동일한 모델이
한국에서도 적용되고 있는지 2020년도, 2020년도 미국 부정선거에 사용된 모델이 한국 부정선거에서 계속 똑같은 양상으로 전개되고 있는지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
프랭크 박사가 이제 한국에 와서 쭉 다 살펴봤습니다. 미국에서 있었던 것과 한국에서 일어난 것이 똑같다. 저도 그동안 이제 한 5년 이상 이 부정선거와 싸우면서 대한민국에서 일어나는 일이 어떻게 미국에서도 이렇게 똑같이 일어날까 늘 그런 생각을 하고 있었습니다. 그래서 결국 카르텔, 부정선거 카르텔이 힘을 모으고 있다. 여기에 우리 대응해서 미국과 한국이 정말 정의의 카르텔을 만들어가야 되겠다 이런 생각을 합니다.
Well, Dr. Frank examined when he visited Korea and stated that the election fraud is the same in Korea as in the United States. So I've been fighting against election fraud for more than 5 years, and I've been wondering why they show the same patterns in election fraud in Korea as well as in the United States. And I came to the conclusion that there is an international election fraud cartel, and we need to fight together against this election fraud cartel. So we need to have a cartel which is for justice.
So, Steve, what you're hearing here is that it's the same thing.
Yeah, hang on for 1 second, because you had the premiere of the movie with the Bolsonaros. We've got Le Pen's going on trial. The election there was stolen. You know, they had all these disruptions with her election, and now they're putting on trial. She can't run again. Does the Prime Minister believe when he says international cartel, is he signaling that is the intelligence services? Does he believe the maybe rogue elements of the intelligence services that we know made contact with Lula in Brazil and was involved, as we know, in the 2020 election stealing? Does he believe that the intelligence services, including the Korean intelligence services, are somehow part of this, what he calls cartel?
So Steve has a question. He's asking, do you believe that this is a cartel of like an international level for intelligence services, including intelligence services in South Korea and other parts of the globe that are operating together in what we might call a cabal that would be trying to overthrow world governments, individually? Do you see that as a position that's happening here?
스티브 배넌으로부터 질문이 왔는데요. 방금 카르텔 얘기를 했는데 이 카르텔이 국제적인 차원에서 이루어지고 있다라고 하셨는데 이런 정보국 여러 나라의 정보국이 함께 움직이고 있는 전 세계적으로 운영되고 있는 카르텔로 보고 있는지, 그래서 이 카르텔이 전 세계의 그런 정부를 뒤집어 엎으려고 하는 것인지 이런 견해를 갖고 있는지 궁금합니다.
중국을 중심으로 한 카르텔은 대단합니다. 이미 여러 번 알려진 것처럼 캐나다나 여러 나라에 개입해서 선거를 망가뜨렸던 선례가 있죠. 우리는 직접 여기 한국에서 경험을 하고 있습니다. 중국이 어떤 짓을 하는지를 우리 경험을 하면서 이 중국과 싸우고 있는데, 이런 부분에 관해서 아까 제가 이제 우리도 카르텔을 만들어야 되겠다. 좋은 의미의 카르텔. 미국과 한국이 함께하면 정말 좋겠다. 최근 우리 한미 공조수사를 지금 주장을 하고 있습니다. 한미가 같이 이 부정선거를 싸워낼 수 있는 가장 확실한 방법은 수사인데, 한미 공조 수사가 이런 큰 역할을 할 수 있다. 이런 생각을 하고 있습니다. 특히 우리가 어떻게 결론적으로 말하면 미국에 유익한 것은 우리에게도 유익합니다. 그런데 우리에게 유익한 것이 또한 미국에도 유익합니다. 이것이 바로 이제 동맹이고 함께하는 것이기 때문에 저희는 이런 마음으로 변함없이 미국과 함께 자유민주 진영의 정의를 세우기 위한 그런 길을 가도록 하겠습니다.
By cartel, we know that there is a Chinese-led cartel which also intervened in Canadian elections, and we see direct interventions of China in our countries. When I say cartel, I meant that we need to form a good cartel, a beneficial one that we could fight China against. So we need to have a U.S.-Korea alliance which is strong, and we need to make our cooperation possible. The biggest and most effective way to fight against election fraud is investigation. That is why we need to have a joint U.S. and South Korean joint investigation effort to fight against election fraud. What is beneficial to the United States is also good for Korea. What is good for Korea will be also good for United States because we are allies, and this is what being in alliance means. We need to fight against election fraud together to ensure that we have free democracy and to uphold justice.
You know, Steve, this is something we've been talking about, that while we have a language barrier and we have a difficult time understanding each other.
Yeah. Can you hold just for what we're going to do is take a break, top of the hour, and come back. I want to continue this. So if the Prime Minister could stay there, if you could stay, we're going to come right back to you because I think it's quite revealing of what's going on in Las Vegas. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We actually have a show that we have put together for the 6 o'clock hour. What we're going to do is continue live in Vegas. We're going to get back to Ian Trottier and Trinus Evans, obviously pretty explosive from the former Prime Minister of South Korea, who said, hey, this thing was stolen, and it was stolen with direct involvement by the Chinese Communist Party, and he wants some sort of engagement by the United States of America, including some sort of intervention to come in and help them sort it out. And so we will continue on and drill down. Also, Ian Trottier, the situation about Bill Pulte and what's happening over DNI. You had Jim Marchant when we first started the show. Jim said, hey, we reached out to Tulsi Gabbard. We got her the information. Something's in progress. Now you know exactly why Mark Warner and the Democrats and Schumer, look at them. They're saying, we're not going to have Bill Pulte in there for a day. Screw you. It's time for one Republican senator. That's all it takes. Don't go along with the scam. Just stand up and say, we're not going to do this. We're going to have a normal process. We're going to confirm Jay Clayton. No, it's not a question about confirming Jay Clayton. It's a question about confirming him in about 5 days. That stinks to high heaven. We're not going to get jammed up here. And screw your FISA, warrantless FISA. Totally absurd and ridiculous. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to be back in Las Vegas just a moment.
They're counting on you to stay silent. They think you won't.
1 in 4 kids grows up without a father. That's not just a bland statistic. It's a national crisis. I'm John Popola, host of Dad Saves America and CEO of Emergent Order Foundation. I like to say we're what it would look like if Warner Brothers and PBS had a baby that actually loved America. We're building a movement that defends the family and calls men to step up, not check out. Visit dsa-rav.com today to take a stand for fatherhood and the American family.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code.
Is my true blessing. family, our very own Bo Davidson is releasing a powerful new patriotic anthem called Blessed, a heartfelt tribute to the brave men and women who served our nation and protected our freedom. We truly are blessed to be Americans. Scan the QR code now to download Blessed by Bo Davidson. And let's do our part to run this song up the charts as a thank you to those who served and sacrificed for our country.